Is there going to be a housing crash in 2025? Well, stay tuned and we'll go through our opinion about what's going to take place. Hey, I'm Vincent Sear here. I'm with the Sear team. We are with Real Broker right outside of the Philadelphia area. My wife and I have been doing real estate now for a combined 25 years of experience, and we want to give you an idea of what we think the 2025 market is going to be for housing. We have gathered a lot of different pieces of information um, from macroeconomic level to a housing detail level to mortgages and to what the current homeowners mortgages are going to be, what interest rates are, and we're going to present to you a case of why we think there isn't going to be a crash in housing this year or anytime soon. So let's get through the data. At any time that you go through here, shoot us some comments and let us know what you think. So here we go. Let's take a look at some macro level economic information. So let's look at GDP growth. Starting back in the pandemic, we have gone negative because nobody was working. All the way went up to 5.9% and stabilized around 2.1%, and that's the way it's been around now for the past 3 years, and projected to go, say, in the 2.5% rate into 2025. Let's look at inflation. We all know what happened to inflation. Started out non-existent, went up to 8%, and through some really economic gyrations from the Federal Reserve, tightening up of interest rates, inflation now is at about 2.4, 2.6% is really around what it is right now. Prices are still high. Okay, so they went up during inflation for a lot of different reasons, and they've stayed there. Now, the rate of change, the rate of those increases has decreased, but we're all still feeling the effects of about we have a new level set now where prices are, and they're higher. But inflation at least seems to be under control, not totally eliminated though. Unemployment. Gone from unemployment where nobody was working because they were all shut down to now a level of around 4.1%, which is almost considered full employment. Has been considered full employment for many years. We don't see that changing. We don't see a lot of companies that are laying off. And if we have any kind of changes with immigration or taking people out of the workforce, that is just going to make it that much stronger for employees because we're going to have a lot more demand than we are for employees. Probably help wages. But overall, the economy is pretty strong. Let's take a look at this. Generational wealth distribution. The reason we're going to show you this is because we think this is a giant backstop to any kind of decrease in prices that would occur in the housing market because we have a tremendous amount of wealth that's contained here with the baby boomers. 53% of our nation's wealth is held by baby boomers, people born before 1965. $60 trillion. But as we all know, our lives have a finite time to them. And this wealth is going to be transferred down to these remaining generations. That is a lot of money. That generational wealth as well is used to help a lot of their children buy properties. So we have, of any kind of need for monies, if it isn't going to be coming directly from your parents or grandparents while they're alive, you'll probably end up getting some portion of that upon their passing. So there's a big wealth transfer that's taking place. Those people who don't have money today may have money tomorrow. But it's an enormous backstop to any kind of decrease in prices. Mortgages, something to consider here. 82% of all homeowners who have a mortgage have an interest rate below 6%. So we've got 42% of all homeowners have interest rates below 4% on their mortgage, and 40% have interest rates below 6%, between 4 and 6%. These people are not inclined to put their home on the market or to sell their home because they love their interest rate. They love their interest rate probably more than they love their house. We have some people that probably love their interest rate more than they love their spouse. Um, so we have a shortage of houses right now. We have far more demand than we have supply, and we'll show you that in a couple more slides. This is the supply. This is part of the supply. It's not going to come on the market anytime soon. And as long as you still have demand greater than supply, you're going to have support for housing prices. So something to consider. The rest of the people, 6% or over 7%, 6% of homeowners have a 7% or more mortgage, and 12% have something between 6 and 7%. And you know what? This isn't changing much either. They're pretty much stuck with those. There isn't going to be a refi down because mortgage rates are probably going to be staying around the 6.5%, 6.5 to 7% range, somewhere in there for the upcoming year. So this is providing stability. How about this? How many homeowners own their home outright in which they don't have a mortgage? Let's keep in mind that the last real housing crash we saw was back in the 2006 timeframe, because we had about 5 or 6 years of a lot of construction, really poor qualifying criteria for mortgages, in which you didn't really need to prove anything, that you could even pay the mortgage in order to get the mortgage, and you would then purchase something that ended up becoming having very little equity in a property. So you could buy a lot of house with little down. You didn't have any equity yet. And as soon as you had a problem with your job, or as soon as you had a need to be able to make a move or something like that, or you couldn't keep up with your mortgage, and the bank had to come to foreclose, you were upside down because you didn't have any equity, and you had to then sell the house for whatever price you could get, and therefore you had a crash. Well, today, Americans have a lot of equity in their homes. And in fact, 32% of all homeowners in this country own their home outright. And it varies by state to state, but on the average, 32%, almost a third of the country of homeowners, has no mortgage. So as long as they pay their property taxes, there's nobody going to come and foreclose on their home. So that also provides a big backstop, because it's not like we have a lot of, if somebody were to lose their job, well, they don't have to worry about making a mortgage payment, at least these 33% of homeowners, because they have no mortgage. So if you're in Michigan, 40% of the homes in Michigan have no mortgage. 38% in Maine. And even when we go down here to New Jersey, 27% of the homeowners in New Jersey have no mortgage. So that's a whole group of people here that really don't have to worry about if they had some sort of economic crisis having to sell their home because of some foreclosure. And maybe having a bunch of people having to sell their homes and flooding the market with supply and causing some sort of crisis. Not going to happen. So we take a bunch of market stability factors. We look at economic growth and employment and rate lock-in. And out of a total of 100, okay, we assign values of that strength. So market stability score of economic growth is around 80, okay, for the overall market. So we've got strong economy. Employment, market stability is 85 out of 100. Rate lock-in, we've got a lot of people who are locked into those low rates and love them. That gives you a market stability score of 90. Supply constraints, well, we have some issues with supply, and those supply constraints reduce the stability score down to 75. But we throw in wealth backing, and we've got 95. We've got a lot of wealth in this country that's going to get transferred, and that's significant. Demographics, we got a ton of millennials who want to be homeowners and who can't. Okay, so that affects market stability. New construction, there are parts of this country in which new construction is still going on, and there doesn't seem to be any challenge with it. And we have other parts of the country in which it is very, very either difficult or expensive, or both, to build. being in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and the West Coast. Mortgage quality, we just talked about that. The quality of people getting mortgages and the quality of those mortgages is very, very high. You have to jump through an awful lot of hoops to qualify for a mortgage. So the likelihood of a mortgage not being able to be paid or having to go into some level of foreclosure is greatly reduced. So we have very strong market stability factors. Let's take a look at these at a regional level. In the Midwest, market stability score of 90. Okay. Texas, a lot of demand in Texas, a lot of jobs, a lot of movement there. Low taxes, score of 88. Mountain, Utah, Colorado, desirable areas, stability score 85. Southeast, 82. It's only when you start getting to the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and the West Coast where we have issues regarding supply and we have issues regarding home affordability that you start seeing a little degradation in here. We have a mixed score in the Mid-Atlantic area and start getting into the lower scores in the Northeast as well as into the West Coast. So we want to look at a more granular level. We can look at these same scores at Great Lakes level, high score of 92, Dallas Fort Worth 90, Ohio Valley 89, Metro 84, Mid-Atlantic about 78. Okay, so these areas have a lot of market stability. We get into the Philadelphia metro area. This is where we're located. A value of 76. So we're going to have some strong areas. We're going to have some weaker areas. And then as we get into Seattle, New York, and San Francisco, where we get into both higher costs for the properties, home affordability issues, and then we start seeing more challenges as far as market stability. For overall, though, we have fairly strong market stability across many regions in this country. Let's look at housing supply versus demand. Okay, so let's start with available inventory. There was a 10-year period from about 2005 to 2015 of which there were very few homes being built because they had built too many. We had the housing crisis. Many builders went out of business. Those that were still in business probably weren't building or they couldn't get loans to be able to buy properties and build. So we've had a deficit of homes really since that period of time. And we are still not building enough homes to be able to meet the demand. We're not even building enough homes to keep up with the population growth. So the supply back in 2020 was around 1.9 million. And you can see that has still gone down since then to 1.5 million, maybe 1.7 million. And these are already low, okay, and they're continuing to be low. Now, let's look at actual sales. So in 2020, we had 5.6 million sales of homes and got up to 6.1 in 2021, which was a very busy year for anybody in real estate. And since then, partly because of increases in interest rates as well as the rapid increase in home prices, you see that the transaction levels have decreased. So 2023 there were 4 million, 2024 there were 4.28 million. Okay, these are the lowest levels of home sales that we have had since 1995. Okay, except we have 70 million more people than we did in 1995. Let's look at the demand. The demand for homes, though, continues to remain strong, and the demand is outpacing the supply and outpacing the actual sales. So we have a demand level of around 6.57 million units a year. Even now, we're over 6 million and 6.5 million of demand. So if we had enough homes for sale, we need more homes for sale to be able to satisfy the demand. As long as the demand is exceeding the supply, there's going to be price support. There isn't going to be some sort of crash. And don't expect interest rates to come down because they're not. Okay, the interest rates are going to remain where they're at. Don't look at the Federal Reserve. Look at the 10-year T-bill. And the 10-year T-bill, the yield on that has gone up the same amount that the Federal Reserve has reduced the federal funds rate. So they've reduced the federal funds rate 1% or 100 basis points. 10-year T-bill has gone up 1%, or the yield has gone up 1% or 100 basis points since then. Mortgages are based more along the lines of the track of the 10-year T-bill than the federal funds rate. In addition, we talk about where the demand is coming from. This is the millennial housing market impact. So millennials are a larger demographic group than baby boomers. And baby boomers pretty much define what the real estate world was like for the past 60 years. They drove the movement out to suburbs. They caused the building of all the different homes out there of all sorts of different sizes. And their kids are the millennials. And there's more of them than baby boomers. And you can see that their home ownership rate in 2019 was 43%. Well, the home ownership rate for the United States is 66% or 65%. So millennials have a lower home ownership rate than the general, all the homeowners in the United States, mostly of which are baby boomers, because they can't get the homes. They either can't afford them or can't find them. They are 47% of new buyers, and they've got their wealth of $5 trillion compared to the baby boomers who've got wealth of $80 trillion, $60 trillion. You look at going into 2024, home ownership rate still 48%. They're 54% of all new buyers. Okay, and their wealth has doubled really in the past 5 years, which is significant. But still not enough for them to be able to get the houses they're looking for. They have the money though, or they're getting the money. They just can't find the houses, or the houses are also out of reach, out of their current economic ability. So, in conclusion, why we believe there's no housing crash in 2025: we have a strong economic foundation, solid GDP growth. Unemployment is at a low level. Inflation is cooling. Generational wealth. We've got a lot of baby boomers with a lot of money, and they're going to provide help to the generations below them to support them either currently and help them find a home, or that money is going to get transferred in the next 10 to 20 years. Market stability factors: 82% of all homeowners have an interest rate, a mortgage rate of less than 6%. About a third of the homes in this country are mortgage free, and we have a limited housing supply. And then we got regional market strength. The Midwest and Texas are very stable. The Southeast is strong. And on the coastal areas, we have mixed to higher risk. You're going to see some discrepancies. You're going to see some areas that may have some challenges because of either Florida with homeowners insurance costs, or issues with condominiums and having to make up for a lot of deferred maintenance that's coming through as far as assessments, and it's affecting condo values. So those are going to be regional areas that you're going to watch. You're going to see areas that may have had a lot of building going on and got ahead of themselves of where the demand's coming from. So you may see builders offering more incentives to buy down rates, or add or throw in some other features in the home. Probably not reduce the prices as much as try to give you more value for what it is that you are paying. But in the process as well, they're going to stop their building or slow down their building so they can create more supply, so they can still keep the pricing where it's going to be. And in other parts of the country where it's difficult to build or expensive to build, you will clearly still have pricing support. And it's going to be a challenge to be able to find properties, and we would not expect any kind of reduction in price or crash. So hope this gives you some more information. We can give you a lot more context. If you want to know where the sources are, where we got this, shoot us a message or a comment. Give us a like or subscribe as well on the channel. And we'll continue to try to provide you data-driven results to help you become a better real estate consumer. Thank you. Have a great day.